that hurt. Pain is something that all of us feel, whether it's falling down, heartbreak, or the pain of annoyance that you feel when you stub your toe. It could be physical, emotional, or even phantom pain, but it's something that hurts us all. I've always been the hypothetical guy, and hypothetically, if you could never feel pain again, would you take it? For me, I think it's a no, because you're basically getting rid of an alarm system that's meant to protect you. But weirdly enough, the desensitization in video games might have led us to taking that alarm system for granted. Like I said, and like you know, we all have experienced pain, but what one person's pain looks like might differ from another. Even two similar injuries can differ widely in their feelings depending on the person. Like, a fracture can hurt really bad. And I know because I fractured my elbow in the 4th grade. And people can hope that it's just swelling from falling off the swings, but when it gets to the size of the egg that Jack stole from the Giants, you know something's wrong. That was how my pain felt. But someone else who broke their elbow, not fractured, would have experienced it differently. They most likely would have experienced the pain worse than what I felt. And I don't know what pain might be worse than breaking an elbow. I hope that I never have to experience it, because just thinking about an elbow bending the wrong way, that makes me... I'm so sorry if you've ever experienced that. All this being said, it's meant to show that pain in video games also varies widely. You have the literal sense, pain in video games, when an NPC experiences pain in video games. You have physical pain that you experience, like your hand cramping after a long gaming session. And you have emotional pain from whatever you're experiencing in the game. And for this first section, I like to focus on what we've experienced in video games that has caused us to get a desensitization of pain. I remember the feeling of playing The Last of Us 2, of seeing Abby take out my favorite character, of going on a revenge tour to try to get justice. And it was fun taking out all the people because shooting games are fun, and they took out my favorite guy. I wanted to make some virtual characters pay for the pain that I felt when they killed my favorite guy. The same pain that Allie was feeling. Allie, Abby, and this dude may have been virtual, but the pain that I was experiencing from Joel's death felt as real as it could get. And it's insane that a video game can do that to you. That media in general can affect you on a level that's so real, on such a painful level. And because of the pain I felt from Joel's death, I started taking it out on the NPCs to a point where I started to get annoyed at the amount of violence that there was. When Allie and I started our journey together, we were in sync, we wanted the same thing. But as her journey started to get more violent, more bloody, even if I realized the characters were fictional, I still was recognizing that I was lacking that empathy for what they were experiencing, for their pain. And I mean, you could say this about a lot of games, you know, Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto, Postal. All of these games have been crowned as overviolent, but rarely do we acknowledge what this overviolence means. A growing desensitization of pain that others experience. We see so much of it that we forget that people genuinely experience this kind of pain. Little test for you. When you see this, do you physically flinch? I do, because I'd hate to experience pain to this level. But I know a couple people that laugh at moments like this, that laugh at moments of pain. And I think a large part of that is that you're exposed to it in a fictional environment. Because it's easy to see over-the-top violence in games and kind of disconnect from reality. Oh, that would never happen in real life. But just because it's over the top doesn't mean that pain on a smaller scale doesn't hurt. And I think the same thing is affecting social media, where now we're watching so many people experience and struggle with pain, similar to how a game portrays it. Now, most games aren't afraid to get crazy with it, but social media has to have some censorships. But what about when we're not getting desensitized to it? When we're actually physically experiencing pain from video games? When the virtual world starts to meet reality? Uh-oh. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I've had many gaming sessions where my hands start to cramp from playing for so long. The closest I've gotten to experiencing cramps is holding my Steam Deck for a couple hours because it's heavy, so eventually my arms start to hurt or they get tired. And then I give myself a little break. But I've heard that cramping does happen, which is your body's natural way of saying, you should probably take a break. And that's what pain is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a natural way of saying to stop. Grabbing a hot tortilla? Stop burning your fingers. Did you just fall down? You're feeling pain because your body's telling you you shouldn't have fallen down, you should check on your arm, and you should also watch where you're going. Did you know that 73% of esports players report feeling some form of discomfort while playing or after long playing sessions? A lot of people dream of playing video games as a job, and I'm not gonna lie to you, a small cramp is probably something that shouldn't stop you from dreaming about it. Like, I'm sure the blue collars will complain about anyone who complains about a smaller cramp because they're out in the sun all day, but just because your pain is smaller than theirs doesn't mean that you shouldn't care for it and you shouldn't treat it. If you're playing Doom or any game and you realize that you've been playing long enough for your hands to start cramping, you should probably follow the Wii's advice and take a little break. But what about that pain when you're stuck on the same level, when it's hard for you to stop taking a break? In this sense, pain is often just anger in disguise. We hate being in the position of rage because it feels like we lost power. But weirdly enough, that's why we like seeing other people in that same position, because it reassures you that you're not in that rage-filled condition. It acts as a sort of dopamine boost. But when you're the one experiencing it, it doesn't feel so good. Your body actually activates its fight or flight response, and because gaming is easier and you could just stay in your position, it's easier for you to kind of just want to fight and stay and conquer whatever level you're struggling with. And then your brain starts processing as everything being under a lack of control. So you get angrier. Maybe the Wii was really ahead of its time, because this is where you should really follow its advice and take a break. We joke about touching grass, but I promise you, even if it was just for 1 minute, if you go outside, you're gonna feel better, it's gonna act as a reset, and it's gonna help you enjoy games more. Pain is meant to protect us, and by seeing it so much in video games, we kinda get desensitized to it. We start to take for granted that natural reflex. And also, sometimes video games can cause genuine physical pain or emotional pain, so make sure you're taking care of yourself. Okay? It's important we understand why pain is needed, and why, if you don't acknowledge the fact that it's there, it could be something bad. Look, I'm gonna leave you with something, a simple wrist exercise that I feel has helped me. All I do is this. Ow. That feels good. Chiropractor time? Anyone else want to join me? That did actually feel kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, I've noticed my right wrist always feels worse than my left wrist, so maybe I should get that checked out. We'll see.